What is up, Vierlarks back here. Happy Canada Day, folks. 150 years for Canada, that's great. The free agent frenzy has also been today. And you guys know, I love my Canucks. And I also love my Leafs and my Golden Knights, but the Canucks are my #1 team. And today is July 1st, which means it is free agent day. And what I want to focus on here is the whole idea of the Canucks and their evolution throughout time going forward. As we finished up the entry draft, I think that the Canucks had a great entry draft. We got Elias Pettersson 5th overall, and we topped everything off with some good players coming in. I like Jonah Gadjevich. I like his line mate, Petrus Palmu. I like these guys that they got. They got Michael DiPietro, another goalie, for our prospect system. Our prospect pool is actually looking pretty good now, and I gotta give props to Jim Benning. He improved our prospect pool after Mike Gillis left. So, what I want to talk about here is the free agent frenzy, because there's no secret, Jim Benning has improved the prospect pool, yeah. And Jim Benning has also made some questionable signings that people aren't really liking. For example, 6x6 Louis Eriksson. But what I want to talk about here is the 5 players that the Canucks got today. And, 6 if you want to include a re-signing. But the Canucks have signed Anders Nilsson today. 2 years, 2.5 AAV. We got Sam Gagner, 3 years times 3.25. We got Alex Burmistrov on a 1-year deal for $900,000. We got Michael Del Zotto. This one was 2 years for $3 million each. And we got Patrick Wiercioch. This was a signing that's 1 year, $650,000. And, we also got Anton Rodin back for a year. These guys, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, the Canucks are instantly a cup contender now. This is great. We got a great improvement on our team. This is going to definitely propel us in the right direction. These guys are going to make plays. These guys are going to get points. We're going to make the playoffs next year. We're going to win the cup. No, it's not what I want to say here. These players are decent. They're not really good players, There's a reason why they're only signed for $3 million, less than $1 million. These guys are not going to be fantastic game changers for the team. But I'm going to tell you what they are going to be. And what these players are bridge players. And what I really like about these players specifically is their terms. I would have been okay with mostly any cap hit. And the reason for that is because, well, we're the Canucks. We don't really have that many players eating up our contracts. Other than the Sedins, we got some cap space. But the thing I was worried about with most of these signings was the term. And I think that Jim Benning really nailed these terms on the head with what the team should be going for. Nilsson's 2 years, Gagner is 3 years, Burmistrov and Wiercioch are 1 year each, and Del Zotto is 2 years as well. This is great to look at, and there's a reason for this. These bridge players bridge the gap between the older players, such as the Edlers and the Sedins and the Erikssons, and the younger players that are still too young and not good enough to play on the team. These include Olli Juolevi, Elias Pettersson, Thatcher Demko. These players are not good enough, and they're not old enough to play in the league. Well, they're old enough to play in the league, but they're not in terms of their development, they're not old enough. Yeah, exactly. So, what these players do, Anders Nilsson, Sam Gagner, Burmistrov, Wiercioch, Del Zotto, and even Anton Rodin, what these players do is they fill in the spots of our lineup. And they make it so that we're not rushing in prospects, and we're not grabbing guys who aren't ready and putting them in positions where they're forced to play. I'd rather much have a guy like Alexander Burmistrov and Patrick Wiercioch and Sam Gagner. I'd much rather have any one of these guys than have some guys who suck. Have a Jason Megna on the team. Have a Chaput on the team. I don't want these guys that are AHL players at best on other teams. I want guys who know that they can play in the NHL. And all of these guys have proven that they can play at the NHL. Michael Del Zotto's a good one because he's a defenseman. I like this. I'd rather have a guy like Michael Del Zotto on the team than have other guys like Alex Biega or Philip Larson or Evan McEnany, any of these guys who aren't ready to play in the NHL filling in that spot. I'd rather have a guy like Anders Nilsson in net behind Jacob Markstrom than having to rush up a Thatcher Demko or a Michael Gartier. these signings are good signings, not because of the players they are, but because of the players they are. Not because of how good they are, but because of how good they are. These are good signings because these players allow the team to move forward with the rebuild. These players allow the team to develop their prospects correctly, and to not rush in anybody on the team. These players are players that will give the Canucks a good look looking forward. Not right now. These players aren't really good, and they're not going to make that much of a difference on the team right now. Sam Gagner may get like a 15-goal season. Wiercioch and Burmistrov might get like, I don't know, 7, 6 goals. I'm not sure. No one really knows, because it's just the first day of free agent frenzy. And Jim Benning is still going to make some more moves. We're going to get trades, we're going to get signings, we're going to get more players, we're going to get more players going out, we're going to get players coming in, picks are going to be exchanged. We know the drill. Canucks fans, Jim Benning is on our side this year, and it's great. The draft was a good draft, we got some good young players, and these signings are good signings because we're getting good players who know how to play at the NHL level. We're getting players that aren't NHL substitutes. We're not getting players that when people watch us, they're going to be like, who the hell is that? He deserves to be in the AHL. We're not getting players like Chaput. We're not getting players like Biega. We're not getting players who are meant to be in the AHL as of now. We're getting players who have played in the NHL. We're getting players who know how to play in the NHL. We're getting players that will help the team develop. These players will also help the young guys on the team. The young guys, as in the guys coming in who might actually be ready to play in the NHL, but aren't actually that experienced. These guys, they're mid-20s guys, you know, they're going to help the team, they're going to help the locker room, they're going to help these younger guys who are on the team become more adapted to the NHL style. They're going to have more interactions with NHL players, they're going to have more opportunity to play with players who have been playing in the NHL. I want Bo Horvat setting up a guy like Sam Gagner. I don't want him setting up Magna. No, I don't want that. I want Horvat to be playing with good players. I want my younger players on the Canucks to be playing with experienced NHLers, not with some guys who have spent most of their careers in the AHL. So, mega props to Jim Benning for these signings. These 5 signings, plus the Anton Rodin re-signing, that's a good pick too, because he's going to come in, he's going to play for us, we're going to see if he's good enough. He's got skill, it'll be interesting, hopefully he doesn't get injured, but these 5 guys that the Canucks have brought in, I'm really happy to see these guys. Not because of the impact they're going to have on the production of the team, but because of the impact they're going to have on the development of the team. And they're bridge players, and that's such a good thing to have when you're a rebuilding team, is bridge players. Players that you can go from one older generation, have the bridge players in the middle fill out the gaps, and have the younger players come in afterwards. The terms are great. None of these exceeding 3 years. I love that. I love that in 3 years we're not going to have these guys anymore because we're going to have newer, younger guys coming in, and that's great. Jim Benning, A+ on this first day. Like, I don't know what else to say. I'm a Canucks fan, and I see the good in all the things that the Canucks do. I like this. Hope you guys enjoyed the search for Boston National Gaming, and bye.